Your alarm has not gone off yet. The house is completely dark. The neighborhood is still. You are asleep, completely unaware of anything happening outside your walls. But your yard is not asleep. In the 10 minutes before you open your eyes, before you reach for your phone, before you put your feet on the floor, something is happening outside your window that you have never seen. Not once, not in all the years you have lived in that house. And it happens every single morning. Your yard wakes up in a specific sequence, a precise order that has nothing to do with you, nothing to do with your feeder, and everything to do with a system so old and so finely tuned that it was running long before human beings existed to observe it. The question is, what exactly happens? Who goes first? Who waits? And why does the order matter more than most people could ever imagine? That is exactly what we are going into today. Welcome back to Bird's Eye Psychology. If you are new here, subscribe before you go anywhere. Because what you are about to learn happens every single morning in your yard, completely invisible to you. And once you understand it, you will never hear your yard wake up the same way again. Today we are going into the 10 minutes before dawn. The sequence, the order, the science behind why it happens exactly the way it does. Stay until the end, because the last thing we cover is something that happens directly outside your bedroom window on certain mornings, and the scale of it is something most people spend their entire lives sleeping through. Let us start with what your yard looks like at 4:30 in the morning. To your eyes, if you were standing in it, it would look empty, dark, still. The feeders hanging silent, the branches motionless, the grass pale and cold in the pre-dawn air. But it is not empty. The cardinal is already in the holly bush at the back corner of your yard. He has been there since last night, in the same spot he has used for weeks, his body temperature carefully regulated, his metabolism pulled back to the minimum required to survive until morning. The chickadee is in the woodpecker hole in the oak tree, 12 grams of bird tucked into a cavity the size of a coffee mug, one hemisphere of its brain still monitoring the darkness for the sound of a predator moving through the yard below. The mourning dove is on the lowest branch of the maple, pressed against the trunk, feathers fluffed against the cold, sitting so still it is almost invisible. They are all there. They have been there for hours, and they are all waiting for the same thing. Not sunrise, not warmth, not the sound of your back door opening. They are waiting for a specific quality of light, a threshold of darkness that, when crossed, triggers one of the most precisely coordinated events in the natural world. The dawn chorus does not begin randomly. There is an order, a specific, consistent, scientifically documented sequence to which birds begin singing each morning. And that sequence tells you something extraordinary about how your yard actually works. The first bird to sing each morning, in almost every yard across North America, is the American robin. Not because the robin is the bravest, not because it wakes earliest by accident. The robin goes first because of its eyes. Robins have proportionally larger eyes relative to their body size than almost any other common backyard bird. Larger eyes collect more light, and more light means the robin can detect the first barely perceptible shift from darkness to pre-dawn. A shift so subtle that most other birds cannot register it yet. A shift so faint that you, standing in your yard, would see nothing but darkness. But the robin sees it, and the moment it does, it sings. Researchers studying the dawn chorus have documented this with extraordinary precision. The robin typically begins singing between 45 and 90 minutes before actual sunrise, at a light level equivalent to what you would experience on a heavily overcast night. The blackbird goes next, then the song sparrow, then the house finch, each species beginning at its own specific light threshold, its own precise point on the spectrum between darkness and dawn. By the time the cardinal adds his voice, the sky is already beginning to lighten at the horizon, and by the time you hear him from your bedroom window, the chorus has already been running for the better part of an hour. You are not hearing the beginning of the dawn chorus when you wake up. You are hearing the middle of it. Now, here's what most people never think about. Why dawn? Why do birds sing at the precise moment the light shifts, rather than simply singing whenever they feel like it? The answer is not what most people assume. It is not joy. It is not celebration of a new day. Those are human interpretations layered onto a behavior that is entirely about survival, and reproduction. The dawn chorus is a broadcast, a daily transmission of information across every territory in your neighborhood simultaneously. For male birds, the dawn chorus serves one primary purpose. It announces presence, health, and strength to every other male within hearing range. Here is why dawn specifically matters. In the minutes before sunrise, the air is coldest and most still. Sound travels further and with less distortion in cold, still air than at any other point in the day. A male cardinal singing at dawn can be heard at distances 2 to 3 times greater than the same bird singing at midday when the air is warm and moving. Dawn is not just when birds sing. Dawn is when their voices carry the furthest. Every male bird in your neighborhood knows this. They have been shaped by millions of years of evolution to exploit this acoustic window. The bird with the strongest voice, the most complex song, the earliest start, broadcasts his fitness across the widest possible territory. And every female bird listening, including the ones in your yard right now, is evaluating those broadcasts. The dawn chorus you hear from your bedroom window is not background noise. It is a competition, a daily contest of strength, fitness, and endurance happening in the trees above your house. But singing is only part of what happens before you open your eyes. In the 10 minutes before your alarm goes off, the birds in your yard are doing something else that you have never seen and that most people never think about. They are feeding. Not at your feeder, not yet. The natural feeding that happens at first light, the insects beginning to move as the air warms, the seeds revealed by the receding darkness, the worms surfacing in the dew-wet grass. This feeding happens before you are awake and before your yard is disturbed by your presence. This is the most critical feeding window of the entire day. A chickadee that weighs 12 grams and has just survived a cold night has burned through a significant portion of its fat reserves, simply staying warm until morning. The first 30 minutes of daylight are not optional feeding time. They are survival feeding time. The robin you see pulling worms from your lawn at 7 a.m. is not just an early riser. It is a bird that started feeding in your yard 90 minutes before you noticed it. By the time you stepped outside with your coffee, it had already made dozens of trips across your grass. The cardinal at your feeder at 7:30 a.m. was at the feeder at 6:15 a.m. too, and at 6 o'clock, quietly in the gray pre-dawn light before your yard was yours again. The yard you walk into each morning is not the yard that existed an hour before. It was busier then, more active, more alive. Now here's the last thing. The thing I promised you at the beginning. The thing that happens directly outside your bedroom window on certain mornings that almost nobody ever sees. On peak migration nights in spring and fall, the sky above your neighborhood fills with birds. Not dozens, not hundreds. On certain mornings in late April and early May, the number of birds that have been flying over your house through the night and are now descending as dawn approaches can reach into the tens of thousands over a single neighborhood. These birds have been flying all night, navigating by stars and magnetic field, burning fat reserves at extraordinary rates, crossing distances that would be impossible in a single daylight journey. And as the sky begins to lighten, as that first robin in your yard opens its eyes and registers the shift in darkness, those night migrants begin to descend. They are looking for exactly what your yard offers: cover, water, food, safety. On certain spring mornings, the trees in your yard will be full of birds you have never seen before and will never see again. Warblers passing through on their way to Canada. Thrushes resting before the next leg of a journey that began in Central America. They are there before you wake up. They feed in your yard through the early morning hours, and by the time you step outside, many of them are already gone, moving north again, continuing a journey they have been on for weeks. You slept through it. Most people sleep through it every single year. Here's what I want you to take from this. Tomorrow morning, before your alarm goes off, your yard will already be awake. The robin will already be singing. The cardinal will already be at the feeder. The chickadee will already have made its first dozen trips from the oak tree to the seed pile and back. The world you walk into when you open your back door each morning is not the beginning of something. It is already well underway. And on certain mornings, the trees above your house will be full of birds resting from a journey you cannot imagine, in a yard they chose because something about it felt safe enough to stop. You did not see them arrive. You may not see them leave, but they were there, in the 10 minutes before you woke up, in the great quiet before your alarm, in the stillness you have always assumed was empty. Your yard was never empty. It was just waiting for you to catch up. Tell me in the comments, had you ever woken up earlier than usual and caught something in your yard you had never seen before? A bird, a behavior, a moment that surprised you? I want to hear about it. I read every single one. Subscribe if you have not already.